thrilled to be here tonight, mainly because I live in Georgia, and I'm thrilled to welcome Dad and Felicity here to Georgia again. We're thrilled to have them here. And I'm personally thrilled to be in Peachtree City because I love running the 15K here. So, beautiful city, and you're always so hospitable, so thank you so much. But tonight, it is my honor to introduce Felicity Gingrich. And I'm going to say a few words about her, because obviously I know her very well, and I've got to say, to watch her on the campaign trail has been just absolutely wonderful. She has put in more hours than you can imagine. She has not complained. She has gotten up every day. She has smiled, as she does now. She's always smiling, and she has been such a support for my father in this campaign. And I am thrilled, not only because she's so really good in the campaign, but she's also a New York Times bestseller. She's got a great children's book out. But I think most importantly that I want everyone to know that she is really behind my dad. She is with my dad. She's with him every day. She works incredibly hard. I'm thrilled to be here with her tonight, and please give her a very warm welcome to Felicity Gingrich.
Welcome. It's great to be back in Peachtree City this evening. It's great to see you all. It's wonderful to be back in Georgia. You know, being home in Georgia always makes Newt very happy, so we're just thrilled to be here.
Yeah!
Some of you know, Newt went to high school in Columbus.
Yeah!
Then graduated in Hungary, taught at West Georgia. Represented Georgia in Congress for 20 years. Starting as a volunteer in 1960, Newt helped grow the Georgia GOP into the great party it is today. We are so proud of our many volunteers who have been working diligently at our headquarters in Atlanta and throughout the state of Georgia. We're grateful for your support. Newt and I are engaged in this race because we believe America is at a crossroads and care deeply about the future of this country. There are only a few months left before the most important election in our lifetime. Our only opponent is Barack Obama, and we are committed to removing him from the White House. The experience and knowledge necessary to rebuild the America we love. A successful national record of creating jobs, balancing the budget, and reforming the government. Today, we need a leader who can clearly articulate why President Obama and his policies are wrong for America.
Amen.
We need a leader who understands that we must contain and defeat our enemies. And we need a leader with bold solutions to create a better future for all Americans. I believe that leader is my husband. Please welcome former Speaker of the House and the next President of the United States,
First of all, I want to thank all of you for that warm welcome. I want to thank Felicity for the introduction. I want to thank Jackie and Jimmy and their two children, our two grandchildren, Maggie and Robert. I'm really grateful that they're here tonight. I should say, some of you may have seen her, but Jackie and her sister were on Hannity last night, and they on Fox. I have to say that Jackie and her sister Kathy have also been doing more than their share, and I'm very grateful. Because she also has two books out and writes a weekly column, so we have all these talented people that Jimmy and I are allowed to hang out with. It's quite impressive. But I wanted Maggie and Robert to step here for a couple of reasons. One, as many of you know, they have been my debate coaches. And Maggie is my smile coach and keeps working on me to smile more. And given her performance background in the Atlanta Ballet and the things she does. And Robert, who's a chess player, has been trying to get me to be shorter and clearer in my answers. And you can imagine that they were both very disappointed to see the chicken show up tonight. Looking forward to having Mitt Romney and Rick Santorum come to Georgia and have a debate. Yeah. And, it was kind of disappointing when they decided that maybe they didn't want to run the risk anymore of being outside their advertising. But let me tell you, if you're afraid to debate Newt Gingrich, you sure can't debate Barack Obama. Yeah. So I'm going to ask them to reconsider and come to Georgia. It'll be just fine. We'll be hospitable. And frankly, there's something wrong when somebody tries to buy their way to the presidency with a series of negative ads and won't stand up out in the open and defend it. This is the most important election in our lifetime because Barack Obama is the most radical, the most destructive, the most unconstitutional president we have ever had. When he appoints stars without senatorial confirmation, he's operating outside the Constitution. Yep. When he appoints recess appointments and there's no recess, it is a clear and a direct violation of the Constitution. When he declares war on religious liberty, he is clearly violating the First Amendment. Is a budget which cripples the military of the United States. He is violating his duties as commander-in-chief. We have to confront how really important this decision is. Not just Obama, but the bureaucracy, the judges, the laws. All of the things which have America on the wrong track. And the reason we decided to run is that we thought that it was really vital, not just to beat Obama, but to win a victory based on principle, to win a victory based on solutions, to have the strength of the American people to say to the U.S. Congress, we expect you to actually work with the new president, and in a Gingrich administration, we expect you to actually get things done, not just bicker and fight all the time. Unlike my competitors, I've twice participated in very large agenda elections. In 1980, working with Ronald Reagan, we developed a capital steps event. We came together. Many of you remember when Mac Mattingly was running. He was a clear underdog. And we all came together on the Capitol steps with Governor Reagan. We pledged 5 major changes. We won 6 U.S. Senate seats by a combined margin of 75,000 votes that year. Because we stood for something. And because we stood for something, we got 1/3 of the Democrats to vote with us, and we passed the Reagan economic program and created 16 million new jobs in an 8-year period. Gasoline back then. You were rationing it. You had to buy every other day based on the last number of your license plate.
Oh, yeah.
I had a friend who was 13 that year, and he was sent out back every morning with a screwdriver to make sure that the car that needed gas had the right license number. And I'll tell you the difference between liberal and conservative. When a conservative hears the government has a regulation so stupid that we are teaching 13-year-olds how to break the rules, the conservative says, drop the rule. The liberal says, that's why we need license plate police at every gas station.
Yeah.
In 1994, we developed a positive agenda. We had the largest one-party increase in American history, 9 million additional votes over 1990. We won control for the first time in 40 years. And we actually kept our word and voted on every item in the contract in the first 93 days. The result was the American people thought we were serious. They thought they could trust us. And in 1996, we became the first re-elected House Republican majority since 1928. I want to run a principled campaign this fall of very large ideas. I want to run a campaign that shows over here's Obama, over here's Gingrich, and have people make really big choices. I want to run with a team that commits that if they get elected and control the House and Senate, that they will stay in session on January 3rd, and by the time I'm sworn in on January 20th, that we will have repealed Obamacare.
Yeah! Woo!
The Dodd-Frank bill, which is
Yeah!
On January 20th, within a couple of hours of being sworn in, we will already be signing 3 major bills starting to get rid of the Obama administration's imprint from day one.
Yeah!
On the first day that I am president, I will sign a series of executive orders. All of them will have been published by October 1st. The country will know what we're going to do, and the election will be about whether or not to do it. The first executive order I'm going to sign will abolish all of the White House czars after that.
Yeah!
I will also sign an executive order implementing the Keystone Pipeline as a
Yeah!
You don't need a partnership with China because by January 20th, you're going to have a new president and a new agreement, and you'll be able to build a pipeline.
Yeah!
On that very first day, I want to sign an executive order which moves the American embassy to Jerusalem and recognition of Israel's right to exist. We want to run an American campaign. Let me be very clear. While I'm running for the Republican nomination, the issues I want to run on are American issues. And we want to appeal to every American of every background, of every ethnic group, in every neighborhood. I'll give you a couple examples. And this is the biggest thing that makes me different, I think, from my friends who are running for the nomination. I both know how to do large things in Washington, and I am prepared to be very bold in defining what we need to get done. And I know how to get bold things done because I did it working with Reagan in the 80s, and I did it as Speaker of the House working with Clinton in the 90s. In my case, it's not a speech, It's not talking points. It's not what my consultants gave me. It's not just some random idea. I actually know this can be done, and I am prepared to commit to you that we will get it done if you will help us get to the nomination. Positive outcomes that we collectively, as the American people, should demand that Washington achieve. The first and most direct relates to national security. Look at all the mess in the Middle East. Watch the Iranians practice closing the Straits of Hormuz. Look at the unreliability of our so-called allies. We need an American energy policy to be independent from the Middle East. So powerful and so compelling that no future president will ever again bow to a Saudi king.
Yeah!
Possible. In North Dakota, there is an explosion of oil that's available because it's on private land and the liberals couldn't stop them from developing it. The result is today, they believe they have 25 times, not 25%, 2,500% more oil reserve in North Dakota than they thought they had 20 years ago. The current unemployment rate is 3.5%, and that's actually a mistake because there are 16,000 to 18,000 jobs available, but the people who are unemployed don't have the right skills, and so they have got a mismatch that's really a training problem, not an unemployment problem. Yeah. Revenue from oil has gone up so fast, the state government has had 7 straight tax cuts, and they have a multi-billion-dollar rainy day fund in a state that only has a $2 billion annual budget. Yeah. Now, you would think that Barack Obama would look at North Dakota and would say, wow, we could create jobs. We could create energy. We could strengthen our national security. We could get royalties for the federal government. No. This administration is actively trying to slow down and make expensive the development of oil, even in private land.
On purpose. No.
The U.S. Attorney for North Dakota, Obama's appointee, filed a lawsuit over 8 migratory birds. Now, they haven't filed any lawsuits over wind, which kills thousands of birds a year. Because that's a green energy which Obama likes, therefore dead birds are simply the necessary price of being green. But they went out of their way selectively, and the judge threw it out recently. But this is the kind of selective violation of the rule of law. This is as bad as the Solyndra case, because here you have a U.S. attorney selectively applying the law in order to undermine a solution that the American people want, but Barack Obama is opposed to. He wants to establish new federal rules that will slow down and maybe even stop the development of natural gas and shale, which is an enormous success story, which has the liberals going crazy because it turns out we don't have peak energy because, in fact, we now have over 100 years supply of natural gas. We're about to prove the same thing with oil. We're going to prove that there's so much oil available in the United States that it is absurd to talk about peak oil. Now, why is this happening? This is the heart of the kind of conservatism I believe in. This is happening because science and technology and engineering and entrepreneurship are finding new and better solutions. Now, liberals don't get that. So when you say to a liberal, you know, we might be able to actually invent the future, they go, no, no, what we have to do is regulate the present. It's exactly the wrong answer. It's an un-American answer. So here's the side effect. As president, I will open up offshore development of oil and gas, and as president, I will open up federal lands to development of oil and gas. We'll have 4 goals. 1, to make us independent of the Middle East and of Venezuela, so we can say to dictators, we frankly don't care what you think, and we frankly aren't going to tolerate you funding terrorism.
Yeah!
The development of royalties on federal property will be a major source of revenue without a tax increase. The leading developer in North Dakota believes that over the next generation, we could earn $18 trillion in royalties from oil and gas. That's more than the current entire federal debt. I want the whole country to resemble North Dakota. Let's get back down to about 4% unemployment. That's where it was when I left office. That's a reasonable number. Out of this energy program. And you can see all this if you go to Newt.org. And all of this goes right back to something we did in 2008 called Drill Here, Drill Now. Yes.
Yeah!
My goal is to get back to $2.50 a gallon gasoline. The liberals will be apoplectic. The establishment will be nervous. But let me remind you of some facts. When I was Speaker of the House, the average price of gasoline was $1.13 a gallon. When Obama was sworn in, the price of gasoline was $1.89. The idea of setting as a goal somewhere between $2 and $2.50 a gallon by producing so much petroleum in the United States, the demand is not as big as supply. Remember, there are two ways to do this. What the left has tried to do through CAFE standards and everything else is drive down demand because they're convinced you can't have supply. And then what they tried to do is make sure you didn't get any supply. They're making it impossible to go out and develop the fields. What I want to do is open up the fields, dramatically expand the supply of American petroleum. We will be, my prediction is in the Gingrich presidency, by 2020, we will be the largest producer of petroleum in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia. In the Monterey field alone in California, there's an estimated 80 billion barrels of oil. There are all sorts of places. The liberals don't want to talk about this because it destroys their entire reason for controlling our lives. So I would add to the energy program to abolish the CAFE standards to allow the auto companies to actually produce the car you want to drive.
Yeah!
When they make cars smaller and smaller, Americans bought trucks. It just drives the liberals crazy. How dare we go out and drive vehicles bigger than their bicycle? But I'm trying to get across to them a simple principle, and I'll let you judge whether or not this is right. I have nothing against people who want to go out. You know, the Volt is an interesting experimental car. The average family that buys it earns $170,000 a year. And this is Obama's idea of populism. And in his new budget, he wants to increase the amount given to every Volt buyer to $10,000, which is an amount which will allow a lot of people to buy a decent second-hand car, but it wouldn't be an Obama car. But here's my point. You can't put a gun rack in a Volt.
Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
So let's be clear what this election's all about. We believe in the right to bear arms, and we like to bear the arms in our trucks.
Yeah! Woo!
An energy program is a major step towards full employment. If you go to Newt.org, you'll also see tax policies to get us to full employment. You're going to see a program of regulatory reform to get us to full employment. I believe, just as Reagan created 16 million new jobs in his presidency, I believe with your help, if we can get a Congress willing to work with us, that we can create full employment in America. Our goal should be to bring people back into the workforce and to get down to 4% real unemployment with everybody who wants a job getting a job. There are practical things we can do to achieve that. Now, these are big changes. There are two other places I want to talk about with big changes. We need a president who is committed to protecting religious liberty in the United States, period.
Yeah!
We've had judges for 60 years trying to drive God out of American public life.
Right. Yep.
We've had bureaucrats. We've had state legislatures. And there's a clear conflict underway between secular bigots who will do everything they can to undermine, weaken, and cripple religion, and the vast majority of Americans who believe our rights come from our Creator. And this is the heart of why I want to debate Obama, because I don't believe he can defend his radical views.
Yeah.
The Declaration of Independence says, we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now this has two things to it. The first is, every school should teach the Declaration of Independence and should explain what the Founding Fathers said our rights are unalienable. That means no president, no judge, no bureaucrat can come between you and God. And that's why Obama is a profound assault on American liberty in what he is trying to do.
Yeah!
Executive orders, and this will be a work in progress because we will want to study the administration right up to the last day. But one of the executive orders will, in one sweeping order, repeal every anti-religious act of the Obama administration. The second example of that, I urge all of you someday to read Lincoln's second inaugural, March 1865. Shaped by 4 years of war, 620,000 dead Americans, more than in all of our other wars combined. Oppressed with the feeling in his own heart that he bore that pain. He writes an inaugural of 702 words that mentions God 14 times and has 2 quotes in the Bible. And I say to my liberal friends, how would you explain America and skip 14 references to God and 2 quotes in the Bible in one speech? How can you possibly believe that a real America can be a secular place in which God has no dignity, in which nothing can be mentioned in public, and in which only secular bureaucrats and secular judges define who we are? That is not America. That is an alien country which we will defeat this fall. We need to debate this president on his utterly and totally irresponsible approach to national security. No president in my lifetime has as methodically undermined our defense system as Barack Obama.
Amen.
His
Yeah.
proposals are devastating. It is inconceivable that we will be safe if he is allowed to carry out his plans. I wear this pin. This is George Washington's Commander-in-Chief flag from Valley Forge. It flew in front of his headquarters during the Revolutionary War. I wear it to remind myself and to remind you that when they wrote the Constitution, the man presiding over that meeting has spent 8 years in the field as the commanding general. And when they wrote the president as Commander-in-Chief, they had a pretty good idea with commander-in-chief. Barack Obama is derelict in his duties as commander-in-chief. He is putting his It is great to be home. I believe that I carried Fayette County in every single election, including the two that I lost. So I felt really good about coming back to Fayette County and really good at being here in Peachtree City. I will tell you, I remember one election in 1990 that was so close that at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was still behind running for re-election. And Randy Evans, who was my chairman that year, called and said, "Don't worry about it. There are 4 large Fayette County precincts still out. And when they come in, you'll win by about 2,300 votes." He was off by about 40 votes. So there's a special warm place to come back to Fayette. I ran for whip against the White House and against the Republican leader. I won by 2 votes, 89 to 87. I am used to close campaigns. This has been a little bit like riding a roller coaster. In fact, I tell folks, it's a little bit like the roller coaster at Disney that's in the dark. You've ever been to Space Mountain? You don't know what's coming next, you don't know where you were, and you're not sure where you're going. The primary in Georgia is very important, and I need your help. And no one should take it for granted.
Yeah.
This is a wide open race. The establishment had decided, and the elite media had decided, that we were inevitably going to nominate Mitt Romney.
No.
They had decided that we were inevitably going to nominate Mitt Romney. That's now wide open. I think it's pretty hard to argue after the last few days that he is Mr. Inevitable. Rick Santorum has come out of nowhere, and for close to me, frankly, for everybody up on the stage. You know, we were there this summer when Tim Pawlenty came out of nowhere. And then we were there when Michelle Bachmann came out of nowhere. Then my dear friend Herman Cain, who's going to be campaigning with me. Governor Rick Perry, who's endorsed me, came out of nowhere. And we just kept trotting along. And we'll see in the next few weeks how Mr. Santorum does. But the fact is, I am the only candidate in this race who has stood nose to nose with presidents of both parties and not flinched. I know when there were Democrats doing it, and I was against tax increases when there were Republicans doing it. Because I didn't flinch. I'm the only candidate in this race who's put together large national elections that actually change the direction of the country. And I'm the only candidate in this race who has put together an entitlement reform on the scale of welfare, where 2 out of 3 people left welfare to go to work or to school, passed the first tax cut in 16 years, and the largest capital gains tax cut in history. On unemployment dropped to 4.2%. And with that momentum, we got the 1997 Balanced Budget Act, and the budget was balanced for 4 consecutive years. The only time if you go back home and put this on Facebook, and tweet it, and send out email, and call your friends, and maybe in an old-fashioned way, actually see people. Make sure they vote. With your help, we are going to win the primary. That's a big piece of winning Super Tuesday. When we win Super Tuesday, we're back in the game, and for the 3rd time, we'll be moving back towards front-runner status with your help. Thank you.